So you've got LPs becoming comfortable, then you've got GPs becoming comfortable. My general perception is that the private equity model didn't change for years and years and years, and then suddenly people are really starting to experiment more in all sorts of ways with the fund structure. So you're getting people raising long-term capital and partnership funds. I saw a tweet from HG Capital this morning saying that they've owned Visma for 12 years and they want to own it for much longer. And I just feel like people are becoming much more comfortable with creativity around the private equity fund structure. But that must come with a certain level of discomfort. I mean, it must become more complex just being an LP these days. You don't just invest your money and then wait for it to come back to you.
Look, I think that's definitely true. So, part of, as well as doing secondaries, I also look at primary investing as an LP. We also do co-investments. And so in particular, when we are looking at funds on a primary basis, the structures that managers are proposing, the different types of strategies, are becoming ever more creative, as you say. Some asset classes lend itself more to longer life funds. So some infrastructure funds are coming out with 15 years, 25 years, open-ended, for what is really a private markets asset class, with sort of redemption features or liquidity features, so that you're not forced to then, go to the secondary market as an LP. So, people are trying to find better ways to match, I guess, asset duration of the underlying investments to the fund life, so that you don't get a situation where, you have a 10-year fund holding a long-term asset and is being forced to sell. So, I agree with you that, it's becoming more complicated, and you got to match kind of what you want to do with finding an investment opportunity which matches up well.
It must be throwing up all sorts of new complexities and conflicts of interest. So I saw, you mentioned GP-led secondaries. I saw that ILPA came out with some new guidance in the last week or so with regards to what they think are decent standards for GPs.
Well, I think GP-leds inherently are conflicted. The GPs themselves are conflicted because if you're managing something, before and after, then, inherently you have conflicts in terms of what's the right sell price or what's the right in price, depending on what the seller or the buyer. But also the GP usually has some form of vested interest in terms of its own economics. So when I look at GP-led transactions, I think one of the biggest things that I look for and try and make sure I understand front up is, why is the GP doing it? That's, I think, absolutely critical. And if it's clear to me that what the GP is seeking to do is nakedly, somewhat egregiously in its own interest, then that's usually a reason to walk away. Whereas if there is a logical reason to doing something and, there is a general benefit which spreads across the sellers and the buyers and the GP, then I think it's a balanced transaction which has, which is worth looking at.